What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the RAD podcast. In this video, a little bit of a trending topic. We're going to be talking about a little bit about the new, what is it called, Doug? A Swampmaster?
The Swampmaster.
The swampy armpit.
The master of the swamps.
We're going to talk about the swampy armpit BMX bike with full suspension. Should be an interesting conversation because besides a few photos, I haven't seen much or heard much about this, but it'll be interesting to see Doug's take on it from a BMX side and my take on it from a mountain bike side. So
I just clicked the link for it. It comes up as $3,000.
$3,000 for a full suspension BMX bike.
Cycle Station.
Okay.
Man. So yes, go ahead.
Okay, so real quick, before we get into like the logistics of riding a full suspension BMX bike, Doug, before we got on here, you were mentioning that there's a little bit of drama with that Wethepeople bike in specific. You want to just explain to the listeners, just like a roundabout, sum it up, like why is this an issue?
I will do my best, but I don't know a whole lot. But here's what I know. A while ago, Wethepeople mentioned the Swampmaster, and I did a 2023 Wethepeople overlook video when their 2023 line got leaked prematurely, and the Swampmaster was on that. And I think that caused some problems because they didn't really want to address the Swampmaster because of the drama that was going on. And essentially, Ruben and Garrett, you guys know Ruben. It's
creator of the Ruben wall ride.
The Ruben wall ride's named after him. And Garrett Burns, I think is what it said. I don't know who Garrett Burns is, but anyway, they had a thing going on called Fingers Crossed BMX, and essentially what they were doing was creating a full suspension BMX bike. And what I've heard from people is like they had this idea, they had this concept, and they had some prototypes kind of for affiliate riders and riders to showcase it, but they never had a plan. It seemed like they never actually put out a product. It was just like an idea floating around in the air. And when Wethepeople announced the Swampmaster, they got a ton of backlash. They redacted it. They're like, okay, never mind. We're going to hold off on this because of all the drama that it caused. They essentially got accused of stealing the idea. Now, that's not Wethepeople's first rodeo. Apparently, that's happened before. It's happened with the Julian Ortega signature grips since then. So it's like a common theme. But anyway, they got accused of stealing this idea, and everyone was like, it's messed up for this big, huge company to bully these two riders and take their product from them. And I don't know. Everyone kind of has a hot take on that, but that is the drama around the Swampmaster. And so they announced it. This was probably, 2 years ago that it came out on the plan for the 2023 line. It was in there in the booklet, and then everything happened and they never talked about it. And so now we're seeing it come out. They've announced it on Instagram. It's in stock for pre-order from this website, I guess. You can get notified. So they're announcing it. They're rolling forward with it. Things are happening with this bike. And I guess, I don't know, we ultimately want to decide if, what the hell? Is this worth it? Like, what's the point of this? I don't know, man. Nick has ridden full suspension 26 inch. Is that it, or is it 29?
Oh, I've ridden all the bikes.
Okay.
All the bikes.
So
never
Nick
a full suspension 20.
Full suspension.
But
yeah, full suspension 20 is new.
Real quick, before we get into that, I want to stick on this this concept of them taking that idea. I got two questions, Doug. Maybe if you're browsing the World Wide Web, you might be able to find this out for me, because I don't know really anything about this. For one, did the Fingers Crossed version, so did Ruben and Garrett's version of the bike, did it go into production or did it stay prototype? Like, can you buy theirs or no?
Yeah, that's the whole thing, is I don't think you can. I'm not 100% sure, but what I know from it is it was a concept, it was an idea, and they kind of prototyped it. Here's Ride UK BMX put out a review on it, and there is an actual bike here. We'll put it up on the screen. There's an actual bike, picture of the bike. And but I think they only have an Instagram account. So anyway, yeah, and I think that was the whole thing. Like that was my argument and a couple other people's arguments that if I started a business right now and I just put out to the world, I'm like, yo, I just invented this really cool ice cream machine, and it's really cool. I just invented this, and I put it out there with no protection to myself, right? And I just threw it out there for the world without any plan to sell it or anything. I would be stupid, ignorant. I don't want to call anyone stupid. I'd be ignorant to assume that no one's going to take that idea and make money off it, especially if I'm really slow to getting going. Like if I don't actually get something out there after I announce it, that's just how the world works. But if I look them up, I don't find a website where you can actually buy it. So no.
Okay. So this is where it becomes interesting. And this is one of those things, in my opinion, about BMX, where BMX sometimes I think is in its own little world. Okay. And
BMX is silly.
This is not personal, whatever. One, I am proud of the BMX community for standing up for somebody else's idea. I am proud of that. Like I am proud that, people looked at We the People and they're like, dude, someone is trying to do that and you're literally going to like pull the rug out from underneath them, know? But what you said exactly, if I look at it from a business perspective, there's a reason why people are very touchy with who they share business ideas with.
Yeah.
Or product ideas, or why you start putting in for trademarks and patents and everything before anything gets released. And, that's kind of a, when you think of like Kickstarter, everyone who does something on Kickstarter runs the risk of someone else with money beating them to actually doing it. And you're saying that We the People put out an idea 2 years ago?
Yeah, the Swampmaster came out. Let me look when I did that video. But yeah, I think it was about 2 years ago.
Okay,
maybe
so
a year and a half.
Here's my opinion, or here's my my thought. Mm-hmm. We the People said, "Oh no, we're fine." They took it back,
Yeah.
If it's still gonna be produced this year, they did not stop making that bike. They just pulled it off the internet because it's still ready. They planned it to be ready 2023, and then they said, "Oh no, we're sorry, we won't take that idea." And here we are in 2023, so they're ready for production. It's into production. Right. They continued to do it. They said, "Hey, we're sorry, we don't want to steal that idea." And then they just instead said, "We'll just do it quietly. How about that?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So they literally followed all of their steps, because if they had not planned to release it in 2023, then they wouldn't have, there's steps that had to be taken. But also, from a business perspective, a company like We the People, or a bigger business that has the funds to do something like that, how long can they really wait? If somebody puts out an idea and the public gets, some people get excited about that idea, they're waiting for a product to be purchased, and the person who had that idea never ends up fulfilling the want of those consumers, how long is another business going to wait? They're not, because clearly there's some demand for that product. And if the other party is not going to make it happen, unfortunately, and that's the shitty thing about business, man. Money takes money to make money. It takes money to make projects. It sucks that someone could come up with that and they don't have the resources to mass produce it for people, but that just is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I blame anyone, or that I'm blaming Ruben and them for not works. Producing it. That's just, unfortunately, you put out an idea, someone's going to do it. One company makes an e-bike, every company makes an e-bike.
See, and I don't. It's just really think it's some kind of crazy, it's not the cure to cancer, and it's not a super crazy idea either. I'm sure it's Like the idea of a full suspension BMX bike, I'm sure has been tossed around by tons of people before over the last 30 years. And so it's not like a real, huge deal. And it's also not out of the question that maybe somebody at We the People just thought of this and they've had it in the plans for a while. I think this Pink Bike article touched on that, is that they thought about, they've been thinking about it or planning it before Fingers Crossed even announced it. And so this Pink Bike article is January 21. So it has been 2 years. So We the People postpones full suspension project following social media backlash. And if you think about it, I agree where like they had it planned and they just kind of went quiet about it and kept things going. But even if they genuinely did just step back from it, they gave Fingers Crossed 2 whole years to get something going. And that's more that they didn't need to give any amount of time. They could have just came out, but I think out of respect for the industry and I mean, probably just so that people didn't hate them, smart PR move to do that. They gave them plenty of time, and now it's like, all right, let's get out, let's roll this thing out and see what happens. It's a funky looking bike. It's very funky looking, but it's also, I don't know. Do you think there's any utility to it? So you're a BMX rider. Would you buy the Swampmaster?
I'm going to answer your question with a question. Where would I use this?
Imagine this.
Where would I use this?
Busy
tool?
New York City streets.
I feel like we're playing 20 questions. Where would I use this? Can I find it at Home Depot?
Yeah. Does it smell like leather?
No. Just give me one place. Like, I'm just going to challenge you before I even give you my opinion on the bike. Yeah. I don't even know really what the bike looks like, but my opinion on the type of bike.
Right.
If you can just give me one place that I would not rather grab a different bike out of my garage.
That I would not rather. Okay, here's a scenario. You're riding your bike in New York. It's really busy.
Uh-huh.
You steal something. The cops are chasing you. You need to get away.
Okay.
And you need a BMX bike because it's agile. But the suspension helps if you're riding it down stair sets or riding it up stair sets to escape the police in the busy city streets.
What if I get to that point where it's not downstairs? I need to hop up 3 stairs. Will that suspension be enough to ride me up it, or can I bunny hop high enough?
I don't know. That's tough. I don't know if you can bunny hop up 3 stairs.
And also, why would I be stealing something in New York City? I've never even been in New York City. I don't want to get shot. I don't go there.
I'll pull up. I think I can screen share. I'm going to pull up. It's not on.
But also, so that subject, I've done a lot of urban riding in Los Angeles on the hardtail dirt jumper.
Okay.
Bombed a lot of stair sets, firecrackered a lot of stairs. Big wheels, bigger gearing, 26-inch wheels. My mountain bike would be way faster in evading police.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I think that one is
gearing,
no.
No, bad scenario. Damn.
Now, if we were in a skate park, I would rather have a regular BMX bike.
Yeah.
If I was dirt jumping, I'd rather have a dirt jumper. If I was riding downhill bike trails, I'd rather have a downhill bike. Like I just can't actually think of a place where I would rather have that than another bike.
Why do you say it like that? Where I would rather have that.
Like, I just mean, like,
it looks funky, huh?
No, I mean, I don't think it looks that bad. I just mean, I say that because it's like one of a kind. It's not saying like, oh, that rather than a trail bike or rather than a dirt jumper.
Where does it fit in?
Yeah, it's that bike.
Well, that's like
it's very particular. It's like owning to me, it's like kind of like a, what's weird is it's particular without being particular. Like, you know what a trials bike is, Doug?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where you like hop up on things and stuff. So trials bikes, they're pretty much only good for trials. The way their geometry is and stuff, they're built to be ridden on one wheel. Like when you're standing on one wheel, you feel comfortable. And That's a very, very niche bike, very specific. But that's just it. It is specific. If you want to do trials, you want a trials bike, you know? Mm-hmm. This is like such a specific machine, and you know, it's a full suspension BMX. It's got big wide tires. It's going to be way heavier than a BMX bike. But then it's not going to roll over things like a mountain bike will. Like that is not going to handle well at all on like mountain bike trails or downhill trails. And so like I don't think that a bike like that is covering any ground that can't already be covered by either a BMX bike, a dirt jumper, or a trail bike, or obviously a downhill bike. Like I don't think it's covering a new ground.
With the disc brakes on the frame, you know, that they've talked about, it's like, what's the utility, right? What problem is this solving, or what's the purpose of it? And when you look at it, you're like, okay, why do I need this? Because if you're going to ride your BMX bike's going to be a lot easier to do, easier to maneuver than this thing. And anything else, you can switch it out. But maybe it feels different. Maybe it's a lot lighter. I'm trying to find the specs. But yeah, no, I totally agree that I don't see an actual utility for it. I don't see an actual reason. Now, if I had some little dirt jumps, or like lived by, say, Sapwe or Velmont or something like that, and I had money coming out my ears, and I'm like, yeah, this would be kind of cool to have and mess around with, I guess that'd be all it is. But it wouldn't be, oh, I'm getting into BMX and I can't wait to get my first BMX bike, the Swampmaster. That's not it. You know, that's not a thing. It's not a BMX bike.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be it's going to be very specific people that are going to buy it, you know, because it's like it's expensive. You know, it's $3,000, and I'm just trying to think who would buy it, you know. Like, I actually saw a post from this dude, Tommy Crail, mountain bike or BMX rider from Ohio, rides with Nick Bruce a lot. And he's been riding a lot of mountain bikes. And he actually made a post on his Instagram today that people keep sending him that. And, you know, I think he kind of, like on his Instagram, he was kind of just like, I think people were sending it to him because, you know, he's been switching a lot to mountain bikes, riding a lot of mountain bikes. And it's like, I think some people think, oh, this will stop people from moving to mountain bikes. And it's like, I just don't see it. Like, you know, if you're a BMX rider that wants to ride trails, jump bigger stuff, you know, like mountain bike opens up a whole new world for you. You can ride things that aren't as smooth, yada, yada, yada. And I guess, you know, this would too. You could ride dirt jumps that are less polished, something. But like, I think a mountain bike is still a better tool for it. And, you know, if you're like an older person getting into BMX and you want more stability, why, like, what would make me, like, I think what I want is a sales pitch. Like, I want a sales pitch. I want someone to pitch to me why I would buy that over a dirt jumper or a slope style bike. Like a full suspension 26 slope style bike. Yeah. With 100 millimeters of travel, to me, makes so much more sense than 100 millimeters of travel on a BMX bike.
Well, here's a sales pitch. You're in New York City. You just stole some. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Do you see this? Look at these comments. Copycats. Okay. So since 2018, we've been working on a special project, and after a 2-year hiatus, we can announce the Swampmaster will be available in 2023. This guy says, this is, I think, what you were talking about. You took the respectful stance 2 years ago, gave them the opportunity to kick on. They did not. So now you're giving the people what they want, something the other brands aren't or won't do for some reason. And
isn't that weird when you just,
that exactly.
Isn't that weird when you just read a comment? Like sometimes I go through the comments just to find one that agrees exactly with what I'm saying so that I don't have to say it.
And then you hit the like button.
Yeah. Just looking for someone else to say the same thing. Yeah.
No, and I think that's kind of I don't know. There's a lot of crybabies in here, and it's business. Right? Now, if they had a patent on it, then that's a different story, you know. But it's like you're not copying anybody. You're just look. BMX brands are in the business to make money. That's otherwise they go out of business. And We the People has always been looking at different things and innovating with different things and kind of pushing the envelope. And so this doesn't surprise me that they're doing it. And it sounds like some people are hyped on it and everyone else. Here's the thing. Here's another thing. I think a lot of these people that are crying about it, I wanted to find somebody that, like this guy crying about it, or the Copycats guy. It's like, this guy probably wouldn't buy the freaking bike anyway if Ruben did put it out. It's like,
yeah,
they're just bystanders having some opinion. It's like,
no, they wouldn't support it anyways. That's what the
Yeah,
internet's full of, dude. Is people who
internet
they argue
warriors.
for other people when they wouldn't actually do anything to support the cause or anything. But, you know, with the, you know, let's just pretend we don't know who originally put out the idea.
Mm-hmm.
You think We the People and or Ruben are the first people to think of putting full suspension on a 20-inch bike? Absolutely freaking not.
Yeah, no way.
We've had full suspension mountain bikes for a long time. The technology has been there for a long time. People have probably thought about full suspension on a 20-inch. And you know why it hasn't happened? Because of everything I've just said, where there's
no reason.
I'm starting to get like fired up. Like I don't like to get fired up on the podcast, but like this is literally one of those things that I'm like, no one's made it yet because there's no place for it. Like, please, someone in the comments, like, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to knock a product. I'm not trying to like be like, hey, you shouldn't buy that. That's stupid. I'm just saying the available bikes already cover that ground. So like, why would you invest into making something like that into production? Like, what is the point? To be blunt, what is the point?
Yeah. And hopefully there's someone that can comment and say, look, here's the point. And that's cool. But yeah, I agree with you. You know, I really don't see a point in it because it's,
like, people are like,
fills a need that's not there. The need's not
like,
there for like a smaller bike to ride trails on. The big
kind
bikes
of like,
do that job perfectly fine.
It's kind of like, oh, why aren't BMX companies making, you know, more tubeless stuff for BMX? Because there's no point. There is no point to run tubeless on BMX. You run tubeless on a mountain bike because you can run it at a lower PSI, get more traction. And also you're riding through stuff that'll seal up. When you're riding skate park, why would you want to run tubeless tires at 100 PSI? There's no point. The weight you save is not going to be worth anything. Like, there's lots of things like that in the bike industry or in any industry. You can be like, oh, like, why hasn't, like, what if you did this? And then people go, yeah, that's a novelty idea, but there's really no point to create that product because it doesn't fulfill a need. You know, it doesn't fulfill a need. And that's like, more downhill bike companies are not making downhill bikes because their trail bike, their 180 millimeter trail bike, can handle almost anything that a downhill bike made 10 years ago could. Most downhill bike companies now don't make 26 inch, or none of them make 26 inch, but a lot of them don't even make 27 5-inch wheels anymore because in downhill racing, 29 inch wheels are superior. They're faster. They roll over stuff better. They make it easier to ride. Like, you don't create things anymore that don't solve problems. Like, I just don't.
It evolves.
I just don't think
everything evolves and changes, and
I just don't think we're solving a problem with this bike. And again, I'm not saying don't buy it. Like, I'm sure I would have a kick on that bike. I'm sure I'd find something that was super fun to do on that bike.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would ever pick it over what I already have.
No, it's a cool novelty for sure. But yeah, I agree. There's no purpose. And you guys, if you guys know a purpose, let us know in the comments. We would love to find out what the purpose is. But
if I were to come up with like a character who I think would buy that bike, like, this is me being salty. I apologize to everyone listening. You can call me salty in the comments. I don't care. Say it. Salt.
When you said me coming up with a character, I'm like, oh God, here we go.
So
Nick's going to get Dougster Bob canceled again.
A character that would ride that is someone who might jump decently, but probably not. Maybe a little bit older, but just refuses to ride a mountain bike. Just like anything to not ride a mountain bike, they'll ride that. Which is funny because most people, I think, that would refuse to ride a mountain bike were that core that would refuse to ever ride a mountain bike would definitely refuse that thing.
Full suspension.
So I don't know.
Here's an interesting take. What is a good because this could be competitive with a downhill mountain bike, right? Just smaller wheels.
What do you mean competitive?
Like some jackass could ride this as a downhill mountain bike, and it'd be fine. The big main difference is like it's smaller build.
I mean, Doug, have you spent a lot of time on a downhill bike?
I've never rode a downhill bike.
Oh, okay. So let me just kind of put in perspective, like 26-inch wheels versus 27.5. There are, say you get to a rock section and, say you're rolling down like these rocks and it's almost like a ladder going down, and say each rock drops off 30 inches to where it flattens out and then it keeps going, If you're on 29-inch wheels, you're pretty much just rolling down that.
Yeah.
And your ground clearance is going to be higher. And you've also got 200 millimeters of travel. That BMX bike has half the travel and almost half the wheel size. So every rock that you go over is going to seem twice as big. It's not actually twice as big, but when you ride different wheel sizes, like on rough stuff like that, you can tell the difference in the size of wheel because you'll drop more in between different things, or if like it won't roll over things. Like there's certain stuff like we ride out in Utah that on 26-inch seems way steeper than on 27.5 because once the thing that you have to roll down becomes taller than your wheel size, you risk getting pushed over like this, because if it's, if your wheel is big enough, you'll just keep rolling. If your wheel can't touch the ground, it has to drop. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're saying that downhill wise,
I'm saying suspension or not, it would be ridiculously sketchy on a downhill trail. If it was a smooth mountain bike trail, you'd be fine. Or if it was like a jump line, that's where it would be interesting to try it, not to buy it. To try it, like if you took a chairlift up, and you took like a jump line, like a mountain bike jump line, pretty smooth. Like it'd have to be something that you could get away with riding a slope bike on. So like not a lot of rocks, pretty smooth, but like lift access, like long tabletops, stuff where a BMX bike would feel really chunky, But that could be really fun. But again, that versus like a 140, like parky trail bike, I just don't think it would be better. But if you only ride BMX,
still
it might
full
be
suspension.
Better. Slope style is full suspension. Yeah.
How much is one of those bad boys?
Probably $2,500.
Okay, and so that's where I was going with the downhill thing. Is I'm like, okay, well, what if
downhill bike's probably $8,000?
I was like, what if you just don't have the money and you just want to buy something full suspension to do this on, this thing, but, and where I was going with that is I'm like, this thing's still $3,000. That's a ton of money. And so you're saying a slope style is like $2,500. So this is still more expensive than a slope style bike and wouldn't perform as good theoretically.
Like I said, if you took it to Highland Mountain Bike Park and rode one of their smoother jump trails, that doesn't have a lot of rocks, it might be kind of a fun little playful thing. And, especially if you're doing no-handers and stuff. But like I said, you could do that on a slope style bike, or better even, a trail bike. I just think if you were trying to ride any kind of actual mountain bike trails, it'd be rough still. It would still be really, really rough. I mean, like I said, I've ridden a slope style bike on mountain bike trails with 100 millimeters of travel in front and back. That's with 26-inch wheels. It's absolutely brutal. Even 160 millimeters of travel with a lot of rocks and a lot of like technical stuff can be brutal. Trails that you ride a downhill bike on can be ridiculously tough on your body. And that's with 200 millimeters of travel, bigger wheels, bigger bike, raked out fork. And that's a lot of it, raked out forks too. And so you take like a more of a BMX geometry and add suspension. It doesn't turn it into a mountain bike. There's more to it than that.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I don't imagine at the skate park this would be very fun either. For me, when I rode your bike at the park, just the front suspension kills it for me. Like on dirt jumps, it's a lot of fun, but at the park, it's just I don't know, it kills the flow for me. And so this, where you got full suspension, trying to ride it at the park, I just don't imagine it'd be very fun. I don't know. Maybe pump track. I
think, when it comes to like riding the mountain bike at the skate park, I ride that at the skate park because that's the bike I'm comfortable on. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like the
hardtail.
I would rather ride a BMX bike at the skate park, especially when I go to smaller skate parks, but it'll take me the entire session to get comfortable. Like I would have to not ride the mountain bike for a couple months and only ride the BMX bike. But so I think if you were only riding that thing and that's what you were riding, that full suspension BMX, that's what you were riding every day, anywhere you went, I think you'd have just as much fun. But if you're like someone like you who rides a regular BMX bike every day and then you just out of the blue got on that at the skate park, it'd be like riding my mountain bike at the skate park. You'd be like, I don't really know what to do. Like this thing's kind of big. It's kind of clunky, whereas me, I get on your BMX bike and I'm like, this is whack,
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, I am really curious, like what that thing feels like. Like if I were to ride it on some dirt jumps or something, like maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe all the salt in the comments will yell at me and say that I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong, and maybe I would love the bike. I don't know. Maybe if I took that and rode some dirt jumps, or like took it to the Taj, maybe I think it's the most fun thing in the world. Yeah. Like a little bit soft, a little easier on my wrists, but still like hella playful. I don't know.
See, but our Woodward trails, for example. I mean, I saw Reed. I think Reed was on his full suspension there that year at camp. But generally, Garrett, but aren't they generally, isn't it harder to jump full suspension?
You run it
like
so
boost
stiff. Nah, I mean, you run it so stiff, you kind of can use the suspension like flat flipping is easier with full suspension because you can push through
it absorbs it.
And double flips, I think on a slope bike is easier than a hardtail, like I said, because it loops out and then you get that suspension like rebound and it pops you up a little bit. So you can actually use that suspension to like boost you up in the air more. But people like Rojo and Reed, they were riding full suspension slope bikes in the skate park, and like so does Emil, because that's the bike that they were riding and competing on. That's the bike that they rode every day. So why would you switch it up to ride a skate park?
Yeah.
When skate park and slopestyle and dirt jumps, it's closely related enough that switching bikes every time could be kind of funky for you.
Okay, so summarize your hot take on the Wethepeople Swampmaster. Go.
My hot take on the Wethepeople Swampmaster is I don't think it really has a place. I don't think it really solves a problem. I think it might be a fun bike. I don't want to deter anyone from buying it, but I wouldn't see myself ever owning it because it does not replace any of my other bikes. It doesn't give me new opportunity that my bikes don't. So that's my hot take on it.
It doesn't fill a need.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited to see how it plays out, though. If you guys got $3,000 laying around, you want to send Nick or I a Swampmaster. Our address is no, I'm just kidding. but that'd be kind of cool. We could try it out and give you our thought.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like a hater. Like if I had the opportunity to ride one, I'd be glad to do a full blown like honest review. I'll go ride it on like lift access, mellow trails. I'll go ride it on dirt jumps. I'll go ride at the skate park, and I will give an honest, absolute review. But without riding it, what I said is what I said.
Yeah, we're a bit ignorant to it, but I mean, you've ridden full suspension bikes without 20-inch wheels, and I've ridden a lot of 20-inch wheels without full suspension, and so I think we have valid opinions.
Oh,
we
yeah.
just haven't actually tested the bike.
Yeah, and I've ridden, like I said, a lot of different kind of bikes. I've ridden a lot of different kind of like mountain bikes and different trails, and if I was on like any kind of trail that I'd ride a mountain bike on, I'd feel like I was just riding a children's mountain bike, and I feel like I would get sketchy.
This is the fingers crossed review on RAD. This is what they came up with. Let's see when this was. December 2021. So We the People says they've been working on it. See, that one looks kind of sick. It does look kind of cool, huh?
And it's not even that it doesn't look cool. Like I actually think it looks cool.
Oh.
Like to me,
I think the We the People one looks funny.
I wonder, like, are we supposed to think about it like like I ride a hardtail, and then some people ride a slope bike, which is just a hardtail, same geometry, but it's a jump bike, but with rear suspension also. Just make certain things a little bit softer. The thing is about slope style bikes, only one dude on the slope style tour rides full suspension. That's Emil. Otherwise, most of the other brands brought slope style bikes in and then don't even really make them anymore because like they don't make them or promote them as much anymore because all of the slope style courses are so smooth that everyone gets away with them riding a hardtail. But you did just show that photo, which like I said earlier, it was up a little bit and it showed them about to land on a really rough landing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to point out. Good.
So it's like when you ride a hardtail, like a 26-inch dirt jumper hardtail, you can ride stuff like that with those kind of bumps and have no problem. Mm-hmm. Whereas on a BMX bike, it'd be super jaggedy.
Buck you over.
Yeah. And then if you rode a slope style bike, you could get away with just a little bit more. But so the BMX bike with a full suspension, it'll make that smoother, but would it really handle really big, large slope style jumps with any more stability? Whereas like a slope style or a hardtail bike would. Like I feel like changing to a mountain bike not only makes a smoother ride, gives you more stability, it opens up the option to go like bigger. Whereas I feel like this just might smoothen your ride just a little bit, but like I don't see the real like expansion on it.
Right. Well, that's I think important to point out. The big bikes, the big wheels, you get incredible amounts of stability. Like you can go way faster and feel still in control, and that's just an important thing of having that extra wheelbase and stuff. And where this is,
you don't feel like
21.5-inch top tube.
You don't feel like you're going to loop out as much
geometry.
Yeah. Like a lot of people go to mountain bikes, especially like when they're older, because they don't feel as twitchy. They're gonna, they're not gonna feel like they're looping out or going over the handlebars the whole time. Whereas, so this I don't really feel like would solve that problem. It's just gonna make certain things a little smoother. Whereas if you're an avid rider, why would you be riding super bumpy stuff? I don't know. I'm just confused.
Somehow the bike finds grip, digs into the corner. And you are into the takeoff. You pull up and the bike responds with an unexpected agility, feeling immediately responsive and flickable, just like a normal BMX bike. But can you tail whip it? That's what I'm wondering.
You can put a gyro on it.
Tail whip it.
You can put a gyro on it just like anything else. But I don't know. It might be fun. I bet if we made a video of us riding one of those, it would go pretty viral.
It's like, wait, and then we take clips. We're like, at first we hated it, and then we fell in love.
And like I said, I'm not saying it wouldn't be fun. Like, I'm sure I could take that out to like Sheep Hills or something where it can be pretty rough and have plenty of fun. Yeah. But just taking it out and be like, oh, that was a good time. Like, would it make me buy it? I don't think so.
Right. Is it going to progress the sport? Don't think so.
Yeah, what sport? Because like I said, it's not creating any kind of new thing.
Tries to bind a bunch of stuff.
It's just like, here, small scale mountain bike. Here you go.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out, I guess. It's I like the drama. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what happens with it. So, damn, I think that's good. Huh? We just talked about this bike for 40 minutes.
I think that was pretty good.
But yeah, no, for real. I'm curious what you guys think about this bike. What are your guys' hot takes? Let us know in the comments. Fill us in if we're said anything too ignorant. But
yeah, this is all just from literal first impression of seeing pictures and just asking myself why. Has nothing against anyone who would buy it, but
yeah, we're like, what should we talk about today? And Nick's like, oh, I saw something about a full suspension bike. I'm like, oh yeah, that could be fun. And so then we just turned it on and here we go. So all right, cool. Well, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.
Later.